Hello, everybody. Bill DeWar here with Coldwell Banker in Lake Forest. I just wanted to reach out to all of you before the weekend and just kind of give you an update on the Zillow MRED Compass lawsuit. Some people have wondered why Zillow doesn't have as many listings on their website, and some of you are also seeing headlines. There's lots of stuff going on. One side saying this, the other side saying that. So I'm going to try and give you guys both sides' perspective and then my perspective. And again, this is all my opinion. Some of it's speculation. So please understand it's not all of it is a fact. I don't know everything Zillow does or everything Compass does or everything MRED does, but I do have experience and I have a perspective and an opinion that I want to share. That's all it is. So Zillow wants access to the private listing network. MRED is saying no, it's supposed to be private. Zillow then decided to penalize private listings that became public. Not all of them, but some of them. MRED said you can't do that. If you continue to do that, then we're going to cut the feed for public listings. Zillow then filed the lawsuit. MRED then, as of Tuesday, and continued to do it. MRED, as of Tuesday, cut them off. So that is why there's no homes, or very few homes on Zillow, way less than there used to be, because there are still consumers or for sale by owners or whatever that still use Zillow to market their homes, and they pay Zillow directly. It's not from the MLS or MRED put out. So do you need to worry about it too much? No. Here's why. Because all the other third-party websites, Redfin, Realtor, Coldwell Banker Homes, all of them except for Zillow and Trulia, because Trulia is owned by Zillow, right? They're all getting all the publicly listed homes and everything else. And the second thing is, if you hire an agent, me, of course, I'm going to know everything that's out there. I'm going to have access to the private network. I'm going to set you up on a search. Many of you know that I've set you up on searches with the private network and the publicly listed homes. I always do that. So that's what it really means for you. It's, in my opinion, it's not a very big deal. But how did we get here? So basically, everyone knows what Zillow is from your end. From our end, it's a marketing strategy for agents. People don't know this, the consumer doesn't know this, but as you all know, the way I work, my marketing is referral based. I do client events, host parties, keep in touch with you, hoping and treating you well enough and having a good enough experience working with me, buying or selling your home, that you want to refer others, right? Everyone got it? Great. Other people, as you can see around town, you'll get mailings or you'll get print ads. Some people cold call. Some people call expired listings. Well, when Zillow came along, they thought, hey, we'll market these houses to the public, and when people want information on those houses, we can have agents pay us to give them the lead. So agents are paying money to Zillow monthly for online leads. Sounds kind of cool, but it's not. It started out okay, but now I don't get the call on my listing. So if you notice, if you were on Zillow, and now that they don't have listings, and you wanted to call my listing and get information, it would send you to an agent that's paying Zillow. It wouldn't send it to me. So some agent would get the lead. They wouldn't know anything about the house. They would call me and contact me, ask me questions, and then they'd get back to that person. So anyway, my point is Zillow, that's a part of their income. That's a part of their profit is agents paying them. So, and I'm saying that because I think that kind of entails what's going on here. So then number two is MRED, M-R-E-D, Midwest Real Estate Data. They are under the MLS, Multiple Listing Service. The Multiple Listing Service is nationwide. MRED is the Midwest region part of it. I believe MRED had been doing private listings for 10 years, but I don't think it was a national thing. I think it was only specific to the Midwest region. Well, recently MRED has expanded it, or MLS has expanded that nationally, like just a little while ago. So I think that also raised a red flag for Zillow, okay? Because now it's not just the Midwest, now it's going to be nationally, where they're not going to get exposure on their website for homes that are off market and selling, or they're not going to be getting as many online leads for their agents that are paying them. Again, speculation, 100% speculation. This is just what I'm coming up with, okay? Then you have Compass, and how does Compass factor into this? Well, Compass was a venture capital company, started buying smaller brokerages, becoming bigger and bigger and bigger. They started growing and growing, and then they became a big player when they bought At Properties Christie's International. Okay, so they were growing and they were getting pretty big, but then they bought At Properties. At Properties was the number one brokerage on the North Shore. So now they own them and Compass. Well, then fast forward to this year, January, they merged with Anywhere, which is Anywhere Realty, which is Coldwell Banker, Jameson Sotheby, Century 21, Home and Gardens, and a few other smaller brokerages. So Compass now owns 70% of the brokerages on the North Shore. So when you get a listing appointment from someone from At Properties, Coldwell Banker, and Compass, and Jameson Sotheby's, they all work for Compass. Not directly, but indirectly, Compass owns all those brokerages. And that's something people don't know. So there's somewhat of a monopoly going on, right? So they were, apparently, Zillow was accusing them of selling listings in-house between each other and not being able to give that information to Zillow, so they can't see it or anything else. But Zillow is also saying that Compass was charging a higher fee, which I don't know about. And they're also saying that they have a monopoly on the market as well. Now, they definitely, in my opinion, they definitely have a market on the brokerages. Having said that, my opinion is that every brokerage always markets their home in their office first, okay? But whether the home sells or not is always up to the buyer, or the seller. It's always up to the seller. Do you want me to tell the office? Do you want to sell it off market? Do you want to wait for it? Sometimes it's better, right? I would advise sometimes it's better to put it publicly. But if you're somebody that is very private, you don't want that publicity, right? So maybe it's better to sell it off market and go around and tell everybody and get her as much. And a lot of it depends on the market too, right? If it's a super seller market, right, and someone wants as much as they can for their house, it's going public. And maybe you put it in the private network to gather up a bunch of demand and then go public and have all the people at the showings for 2-3 days take the best offer and whatever. So it all depends on the seller. That's what's important, in my opinion. And it's a law too. We serve you, okay? So it's always up to you what ultimately gets done. So that's what Zillow is saying about Compass in terms of the monopoly and everything else. And Emred's getting wrapped up in this because they're the information center and they have the private listing network. So I guess my opinion of it is I think private listings should stay private. I like the private network because I think it's a great tool and allows you to market your home in a lot of different ways. And I think it would be bad if you couldn't list it privately. Like then you'd have to list it publicly. And if you were in a situation that you couldn't move until January and you needed to sell, you wanted to sell, right, to get as much money as you can because the fall market's not as good as the spring market, like why wouldn't you be able to market it in the private network? Because then it'll have days on market if you have to list it publicly. So it'll sort itself out. Everything will be fine because ultimately, if you guys obviously use me, then you'll have access to all that stuff. It won't be an issue. I'll help to guide you through. But if you have friends, family that, obviously you'd refer me, but even if they're not using me, just let them know kind of what's going on. If they have an agent, everything's going to be fine. Just have their agent do what their value is. Like that's our value. Our value is to help you. So having said that, I hope you all have a great Memorial Day weekend. I hope this was helpful in explaining things. You have my information. If you have any questions or need anything, do not hesitate to ask. I'm always happy to help. Have a great weekend, everyone.